Hello friends, how are you? Welcome to the Japan Study Center. Today we are going to see the chapter of geography and what is our topic today? Population density distribution growth in India. There is a most important chapter, population density distribution growth in India. There is an important chapter. But the first topic arrive here, this is the most important population of India. The population of India. There is a most important topic here, population of India. India is the second most population country in the world next only to China. There is a second number of population for the India and the first here China. On March 1st, 2001, the total population of India was at 1027 million. 1027 million, and this accounted for 16.7% of world total population. There is the most important point here. The 2001 there is survey here of 1027 million, and the all world there is a total population here of 16.7%. In other words, about the very sixth person in the world there is on Indian. There is a all world, every sixth persons on the world there is an Indian. China, the most is a population country of the world, is a step ahead of us as a very fifth person in the world. There is a Chinese. There is a world here, a fifth person in a world. There is a Chinese. Will the India pose only 2.42% of the world total land area? There's an important point here. The only pose here, the world here is area is a 2.42% only. She is required to the contains almost 70% of world as per population. In terms of area, India stands as seventh president of Russia, Canada, China, United States of America, Brazil, Australia. There is the seventh president of the here. The India's term area here seventh. But the first is Russia, Canada, China, United States of America, Brazil, Australia. The bearing China, there are total population of the large fifth country for a less than to India. The total area of this five country is over 16 times, where there is total population is a much less than that of India. Thus, many partly is explained how to the handicapped we are because of our huge population. It can also be resolved therefore to fact that the total population of North America and South America and Australia added together is less than population of India. On the top of it, we are adding over 17 million people each year. It is the more than the total population of Australia. In fact, the net addition to the China population each year is less than our. There is the most important point here. The next, density and distribution of population. There is a most important topic here. Density and distribution of population here. The population of the world or of any country is not uniformly distributed. The same true about India is also. There is important. The country is not uniformly distributed. There is the population. There is the same for the India also. And some part of the country are densely populated. Some part of country is densely populated. Example, Mumbai. Some part is moderately populated and some part is sparsely populated. There is an important point. The size of population of the different area can be compared in many ways. One of ways that can be compared to the absolute to the size of population. But it does not provide any idea about the relationship of population with the area of resource base of the country. This type of comparisons is therefore not adequate. For example, population of the Singapore is 4.2 million and the People Republic of China is 1,300 million. Indeed, one is too small and other is too big. Now take into be consideration that is the area of Singapore is just 630 square kilometer, where China has a area of 9.5 million square kilometer. This helps us to know how to the crowded Singapore is compared to China. Therefore, population of the various countries is generally compared in a term of density of population. There is a density of population, and this is a method of comparing. There is a man-land ratio of different regions. For this purpose, the population of the regions is there assumed to be distributed even in all its parts, and the number of people per square kilometer is this calculated, and this is called to the arithmetic density population. This is called to the arithmetic density of population, which can be calculated by dividing the total population of a country or regions by the total area. Therefore, density of population is expressed as a number of person per square kilometer. According to the 2001 census, there is density of population in India is a 324 person per square kilometer. 324 per person per square kilometer. Over the last 100 years, density has increasing more than 4 times. There is a density has increasing more than 4 times. It has increasing from a 77 in 1901 to be 324 in the 2001. You know that there is a very different gap here. In 1991 there is only 77, and 2001 there are 324. There is a most important gap here is coming in. And then we have said that the density of population of India is 324 person per square kilometer. This does not mean that population is excited to the 324 person in each and every square kilometer. This is important. Important also here a map will show your screen. In this map, there is a most important information here. Distribution of population 2001 in a district here. The maximum population you show there on Mumbai side. There is a 5 crore and above. There is the most important. There is mostly Gujarat, some part, and Maharashtra also, and Calcutta, and Delhi. There is the most important population here. And other side here, only 50,000. And some part of Kashmir, there is no people is live here. Is maximum people is here. There is the most important population here on the size. This is important. In reality, the distribution of population in India is highly uneven. The uneven density of population in India is clear from the fact that is Arunachal Pradesh. The average number of population is only 30% per square kilometer. Only 30% per square kilometer. Where it is 9,294 per person square kilometer in Delhi. As a part of 2001 census. There is an important point here. Is a per square kilometer is a 9,294 in a Delhi. There is a very large density on this side of Delhi. The most important factor arrive here. There is important in this box. There is a pointable note here. There is an important point. A comparison of population of different country or regions become more meaningful if it is done by the comparing the average density of population of each area. And this is expressions of man-land ratio here. The density of population can be expressed as density is equal to total number of people of country upon total area of country. There is density. Total number of people of the country and total number of area of the country. That is called density. The next here, factors influencing of distribution and density of population. There is a most important topic, factors influencing distribution and density of population here. As we have discussed earlier, the spectrum is a spread of population in India is not uniform. There are very wild, regional and variation. Let us see that is a factor are responsible for the variation. All such a factor affecting the population and distribution and density may be is broadly be grouped into two major categories. They are a physical factor and second here B a social economical factor. That is the most important. The first here physical factor. The come here physical factor play a vital role in their density and distribution of population. Physical factor include a landform, climate, soil, etc. There is a physical factor. There is a population is factored here. A factor, main of population factor here. A landform, climate, soil. There is a physical factor. So there is a lot of improvement in the technology, but the patterns of population distribution all over the world continues to reflect their influence of varied physical factor. There is important and there is a landform is first. The landform it is influence their distribution pattern of population. The most important attribute of the landform which the determine to population density and distribution are the altitude and slope. The most streakings are evidence of the influence of altitude and slope on population density and distribution have been to observe between two mountain and plains. For example, take the case of most densely populated Indo-Ganga plain on the one hand and the highly mountainous state of Arunachal Pradesh on the other. There is important landform here. Another than there is a factor like a drainage and water table has also been affecting to population distribution here. The next here climate. The climate is one of the still is the element of the physical factor which influence the spatial distribution of population through the temperature condition and the amount of precipitation. Take the case of hot and dry desert as Rajasthan and the cold and wet eastern Himalayan region where a very low temperature and heavy precipitation prevail here. And this is a reasons for a uneven distribution and low density of population here. Almost even distribution and high density of population are found in the plain of Kerala and West Bengal where is the rainfall is the high. It is the low is the region of Rajasthan and the leeward is the side of Western Ghat. There is the most important here climate. The next here soils. Soil is another factor which affects the density and distribution of population. One may be attempted to the question the validity of role of soil in a present day highly industrialized society. There are highly industrialized society, but even today about 75% of population in India is live in a villages. People in the villages Iran there is a livelihood and from the agriculture which is a depend upon the quality of soil. That is why the abuse region of the northern plain and the coastal and tax region of India is a continue to be a support high density of population. On the other hand, it may be avoided to the mentioning that vast a tract of the land is a desert area like Rajasthan, Ranas and Kutch in Gujarat. The right reason is that Uttarakhand has been suffering from a problem like a soil erosion and soil influences which is a support only low density of population. In any region, the density and distribution is influenced by more than one factor. And take for example northern eastern region of India. Here several factors are responsible for a low density of population. And this factor are high rainfall, rough terrain and dense forest and poor quality of soil. And the next here, social economical factor. There is a B part, social economical factor. Like a physical factor and social economical factor also play an equal important role in density and distribution of population. However, there is maybe not be a perfect agreement upon to the relative importance of these two determinants. In a concern of place, physical factor play a vital role, whereas some places is a social economical factor have a great impact. It has generally been agreed that the role of social economical as a non-physical determinant of increase. The various social economical factors which have impact upon the population are social, culture, and political factors. Exploitation of natural resources. The first social economical factor here, the social, culture, and political factor. The Mumbai Pune industrial complex is a good example to show how to social, culture, historical, and political factor collective have a contribute to be a rapidly growth of population and its density. Less than 200 years ago, there was a small, insignificant island of the Thana crack on the western coast. The adventures this progresses as a seaman and the claimant this island is their merchant. The merchants and they in turn gift this island to the royal family of England by way of dowry. And this couple of sleepily of Phoenix village located on this island could never guess that it would be a shortly turned into be Indian as the largest population and conglomerations and East India Company of England set up a trading of center on this island and later made it is a capital city of Mumbai Presidency. The Mumbai Presidency is important. There is important also here. Enterprising trading and business commodities of Paris, Kutch and Gujarat play a leading role in a setting a textile mill and development of water power and lining road and railways across the Western Ghat. Connected it with there is a hinterland. Unexpectedly, there is a series of international navigation canal made of Mumbai, the nearest of Indian port to be Europe. Ability of educated youth for the Mumbai and Pune is expensive and displaced their labor for the Konkan and also contribute to the rapidly population growth. The discovery of Mumbai high oil and natural gas field give a boost to its petrochemical industry. Today, Mumbai is known as the commercially capital of India, is backed by the international and domestic airports, the major seaport and national road and is a rail terminals. Similar is the case with the other cities like Kolkata and Chennai which were established by the colonial rulers. The next year, ability of natural resource. Ability of natural resource. There is the most important factor, the effect of population. The Chota Nagpur Plateau region has all along been a rocky and rugged terrains, and there is a raining and fortress. This region has been to the home of several tribes and was not a sparsely populated part of country. However, a string of industrial town and center have springs up over to the past century. Soon after, rich minerals such as iron, ores, manganese, limestone, coal, etc. were found in individually abundance and close to one to another. The rich coal and rich field have attracted heavy industry of particular iron and steels. Heavy engineering of metallurgies and trans equipment industries. The region has also important is a superpower thermal station from where power is supplied to far off areas. After a liberalization, many multinational as well as national companies has been established. There is industries in large numbers. The next point here, population density at the state level. Population density at a state level. Population data can be plotted and described are interpreted in a couple of ways or depending upon its purpose. For a finding out of word distribution pattern, population is collected and plotted on basis of large unit like a state or there is a major part. If information is needed for a more accurately, there is a smaller unit like a district or even tehsil are used. Let us first find out of the word pattern of population distribution and density of India. On the basis of ability of state level data, the density of population in India can be broadly divided into three zones. There is a divided here ability of here population in a data that broadly is divided into three zones. The area of high density, the area of moderate density, and area of low density. There is the most important three zone here: the area of high density, the area of moderate density, and area of low density here. The first of all come here area of high density. The area of high density. In the map given to the next here, the area having a density of population of more than 400 person per square kilometer are included in the category. And this area have a high density due to the fertile land and the high amount of precipitation. Example, Kerala, West Bengal, and Tamil Nadu. In this region, a large number of people can be provided substance per unit of area due to ability of fertile land and which can produce more food for a large number of people. But the institutions, their entire different in the case of union territories like a Delhi, Chandigarh, Pondicherry's, the UT, the important area. The UT is the Delhi, Chandigarh, and Pondicherry is the most populated area. And this region has a high urbanized and offer a job opportunity in industrial and service sector. Thus we can say that the area having fertile soil and those having a good employment opportunity are densely is populated. And now find out which are there other states which have a high density of population. There is the most important here. The UT means United Territory like a Delhi, Chandigarh and Pondicherry. There is a urbanization and offer a job opportunity and industries and service sector. There is this side is a population are the dense populated area and there is a dense population here. And the next here the area of moderate density. The area of moderate density. A state and union territory in which there is density of population range between 200 to 400 person per kilometer are called area of moderate density of population. There Andhra Pradesh, Assam, Dara and Nagar Haveli. Dara and Nagar Haveli is the most important. And Goa, Gujarat, Karnataka, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, Orissa, Rajasthan, Tripura, Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, Jammu and Kashmir, Uttarakhand, Himachal Pradesh and Nagaland, Manipur and Meghalaya. This region includes a large part of country in a term of area. Broadly speak of moderate density of population is characterized by the area in which the agriculture is handicapped by the regulate of topography and the lower amount of precipitation and capacities of water for irrigation. The scope for developing primary and secondary activities is quite large if the facilities are provided in this area. For example, at the time of independence, Chota Nagpur region was especially their populated area, but development in the field of mining and industries in this part of a country has been mainly responsible for a moderate density of population in this region. That is important here. The next point here, area low density. The area of low density is the third point. All the remaining part of the India is having a density of population less than is 100 person per square kilometer. There is 100 person here a per kilometer may be classified under this category. The state and union territory falling under this category include Arunachal Pradesh, Mizoram, Sikkim and Andaman and Nicobar Island. Low density population area is characterized by the rough terrains and low rainfall or unhealthy climate. There is unhealthy climate is a main factor here and low rainfall here. And due to the above reason, there is a areas of livelihood is low in this area. And agriculture cannot be developed into and the dry and cold area. There is an important here. Agriculture cannot be developed to a dry and cold area, and even the topography and poor agriculture resources put a limit on urbanization and industrialization. Therefore, the number of persons that can be supported per unit area is low in such a region. And difficulty exists not only in a transport and communication in a hilly and mountain area, but also in this overall the level of economical development. That is why there are density of area of the low density of population in this side. There is the most important and important also here in this box. In this box, there is the most important point here, notable point, not your notebook. There is the most important point here. The area of high density include the state of West Bengal, Kerala, Bihar, Punjab, Tamil Nadu, Uttar Pradesh and Haryana, Union Territory of Delhi, Chandigarh, Lakshadweep, Pondicherry and Daman and Diu. All these areas provide to good scope for the earning of livelihood through either of agriculture to through the job in various type of uh, secondary and tertiary activity. The area of low density of population in India include Arunachal Pradesh, Mizoram, Sikkim, Andaman and Nicobar Island. And this area suffer from the either low rainfall and rough territories, the harsh climatic condition or accumulation of this factor. There is a most important point here, notable point, and come to the here map. There is a three types of density of see in this map. In this map, there is a most important show density of population according to the 2001. You know that there is a most important show in the dark black here. The dark black is the only show here is a Calcutta side and Delhi. There is a most important. There is a 1000 and above person is a per kilometer live here. But is a 500 to the 1000. The area is the most important on Uttar Pradesh, Bihar and Calcutta and Kerala. There is a very dense here population and 251 to 500 national average here. The only is a so the Chandigarh, Haryana, Gujarat and Maharashtra and the Karnataka, and also there is a most important part here. There is a important on this, and 100 to 250 is almost Rajasthan, and there is a Madhya Pradesh and other sides. But below to the 100 there is only here Andhra Pradesh and Jammu and Kashmir side. There is a most important map. There is a dense population and low population. You know that the examiner only asks this question of is a high density of population and low density of population. There is no meaning of that as a three here, but only two is most important. The high density and the low density of population. Examiner asks many times of these types of question. The next here, population density at a district level. There is an important point here. Population density at a district level. Put a mind, our observation show that in each state there are a variation in distribution of population and more than one category of population density in a found. The geographical or spatial distribution become more clear by making an analysis of the district level pattern. There is district level pattern. There is the most important, and the great is a unevenness in the distribution is mainly because of the divergences is a physical condition as well as the variation in distribution of natural resources and stages of economical development. It varies from up 2% per square kilometer in a Lahore and spirit of district of Himachal Pradesh to 29,395 person per square kilometer is a national capital territory of Delhi. The top 20 districts in the country are either fully urban and highly urbanization. There is a most important point here. It includes all the 9 districts of Delhi, Kolkata, Havra, North 24 Pragan in the West Bengal, Mumbai and Mumbai is a Surban and Maharashtra. My and of Pondicherry is a union of territory of Pondicherry, Chennai, Bangalore, Hyderabad and union territory of Chandigarh. The density is generally high over to market a continually stretch of land. They are a large part of northern plain from Punjab to the West Bengal and coastal plain from Orissa, coastal in the east and Konkan is a coastal in the west. A belted of moderate high densities extended over to the entire Maharashtra. Plain of Gujarat, Telangana, parts of Tamil Nadu, southern Karnataka and Chota Nagpur, a region of Jharkhand. The area of low density are that is important. The area of low density are generally found over to highly forested and snow bounded area of country, mainly are situated in a Himalayan region and desert area of Rajasthan. Specifically is the Jaisalmer and district and the large expanses of the uninhabited marshy land of Kocha district of Gujarat. Our next topic is the most important here, growth of population. The growth of population here is the most important topic. The growth of population in a regions are depend upon to the fertility, mortality and migration. Fertility are the birth rate is a measuring in the term of total number of live birth per thousand population per year. You know that there is the most important here. The growth of populations is a reason depend upon to the fertility, mortality and migration. Fertility or their birth rate is a measuring in the term of total number of live birth per thousand population per year. And generally the fertility rate is affected by the various social, economical and democratic factor here. That is the most important point. The fertility rate is affected by the various social, economic and demographic factor here. And mortality or death rate is a measuring in the term of total number of death per thousand population per year. The difference between a two rate, fertility and mortality, is called a natural growth rate. You know that there is a most important point. The difference between these two states, fertility and mortality, is called the natural growth rate. The term of migration refers to the movement of people. The migration here refers to a movement of people from one place to another. That is important. The people from one area to the other, from one country to another, and the rate of migration affect the growth of population of region by increasing or decreasing the number of people living there. The growth rate of population may be positive and negative. That is important here. The growth rate of population may be positive or negative. A positive growth rate of population meaning on increasing in the number of people living in a region. Whereas a negative growth rate means a decline of population. A positive growth rate occur then their number of birth and migration scale their number of deaths and out of migration. The negative growth rate is mean just a positive to positive growth rate. There is the most important point here. The positive growth rate occurs when the number of birth and migration exceed the number of deaths and out of migration. The negative growth rate is mean just a positive to positive growth rate here. Here show the most important table. The India is a population growth rate 91 to 2001. There is a most important period of time is a 100-year difference here. The change here is the population in the million and change the million and change in percentage and average here. There is a 90s one, there is a no information provides here. 90s 11, there is a population million is a 252.08 and the other million is here and 5% it changes. There is a other side with same effect here. But 1921 there is a negative here. Negative goes with there is a most important period time on the negative of the changes in here. And the next growth rate is the same here, but as a development of population is a step by step. But at least 2001 there is a 1027 there is maximum here growth. But there is a positive only 180.63 here and 21.34% is increasing. There is a most important period time the increasing of population here on in the screen. The next year district level pattern. The district level analysis is reflect that there are as many as 90 districts where there are growth rate in very high. More than 50%. On the other hand, there are 58 districts where a growth rate is very low. Less than 10% out of the 90 is very high growth rate districts. Of 5 belong to the Nagaland and 4 to Delhi. There is a district 5 belong to the Nagaland and 4 to the Delhi. And similarly, out of the 58 very low growth rate district, as many as 40 districts are in the southern part of India. And out of this 40 districts, as many as 20 are Tamil Nadu, is 11 in Kerala and 5 in Andhra Pradesh and 4 in Karnataka. That is the most important here. Out of these 40 districts, as many as 20 are in the Tamil Nadu, 11 is Kerala and 5 in Andhra Pradesh and 4 is in Karnataka. If we look at the district level of pattern, it has been to marked that a high growth rate are visible in almost entire Indo-Gangetic plain, extending from the Haryana in the west, Bengal in the east. High growth rate are also observed in the regions north of Satpura range, spreading across the Malabar plateaus and entire Rajasthan, including the Great Indian Desert. The western Maharashtra and the part of northern eastern states, on the other hand, relatively low growth rate in observed in a Gangadavari basin here. Godavari basin is the most important and Chhattisgarh plain here also and Chota Nagpur plateaus and west part of West Bengal and the Orissa. The very low growth rate are observed in Punjab, Uttarakhand and the southern region of the Deccan Plateau. There is a most important point here, a notable point. Every low growth rate observed in Punjab, Uttarakhand and the southern region of Deccan Plateaus here. Look at the table 26.1. You feel that find that is the total population of our country as per our political containers are today was 238 million and by 2001 it has risen to the phenomenalist as a figure of 1027 million. There is a most important growth here and about 788 million person were added in the last century. There is a most important here. There is a last century here. The rise is of there about 4.3 times since the 1901. If we look at the 100-year population growth, then it can be broadly is grouped under the following 4 category here. The 4 category is the most important here. A period of stagnant of growth rates before 1921. And period of stay of growth rate is 1921 to 1951 and period of rapidly growth rate is 1951 to 1981. The period of decline of growth rate is after 1981. There is a most important point here. Let's us discuss the each phase of briefly here. There is an important. A first point here briefly. There is a before 1921 the increase in a population was sporadic and regular and slow. This was mainly due to the high birth and death rate here. There is mainly of the high birth rate and death rate. Therefore, the natural growth was insignificant. In 1911 to 21, there absolutely there is increasing or decline marginally is due to the famines and epidemic and etc. After 1921, population has been increasing. Therefore, 1921 known as the demographical divide into population study of India. And the next year, second, there is since 1921 to 1951, there was a steadily increasing in the population, and this is because of steady decline in a death rate. The decline was mainly due to the improvement in sanitation and medical facilities. Other factor which help where is the development in the road facilities which help in a meeting their exercise of food storage and substantial improvement in agricultural economics. Therefore, the population growth during this period was known as a minority induced growth year. This is a very crucial phase as far as population growth of India is concerned. The population was almost doubled is during these three decades. During this period, there was a rapid decline in a death rate, and whereas the decline in the birth rate was marginal. Look at the table. You will find birth rate was reduced from a 41.7 to 37.2. There is an important point here, a decreasing of here, reducing here. And there is a death rate was reduced from 22.8 to the 15 is doing this period. Therefore, the difference between the birth rate and death rate was very high, and as a result, natural growth rate is remained very high. And this was due to the accelerations in a developmental activity of further improvement in a medical facilities. Improvement in the living condition of the people and etc. This period of growth is termed as a fertility induced growth. Fourth year, in the last two declare is the 1981 to 91 and 1991 to 2001, the rate of growth started a decline gradually. It signals the beginning of the new era in the demographical history of India. During this period, both are declined significantly from 37.2 in 1971 to 81 to be 24.8 in 1991 to 2001, whereas decline in a death rate is a continue in a slower rate here. The death rate has declined from 15.0 to 88.9 during this period. This decline trend a positive one and may be attributed is effective government role in promoting family welfare program and people awareness. There is a most important point here. The next annual birth rate and death rate and the natural growth rate is a 1901 to 2001. There is a most important here. And declared there is a time period and there are birth rate per thousand and death rate per thousand, natural growth per thousand and natural growth in a percentage. You know that there is a most important here show on 1911-21. This period times here equal to the both birth rate and death rate is equal. There is a only natural growth rate here 1000 is 0.9 and natural growth is a percentage 0.09. There is a most important here. And the next here is important on here. There is a 1941 to 51. There is 39.9 is a birth rate, but here a death rate per thousand is a decrease. There is only natural growth per thousand is a 12.5. There 1931 is a natural growth rate is per thousand is a 14. That is the most important the next year. And the most important here of birth rate and death rate is increasing is a time to period to time. You know that there is a most important here growth here. Maximum growth is here noted down to the 48.1. That is important. And the death rate also is increasing 47.2. But notable here is important. 1991 to 2000, there are 24.8 is a birth rate, but death rate is a very decreasing, is a 8.6. There is a most important here. Important here percentage 1.60. The important in this table, there is more important information here. And the next is the most important here in this box, the notable point, not your notebook. Here the point is important. The growth rate of population is a function of fertility, mortality, and is a migration. And different between two fertility and mortality rate is called natural increasing of population. You know that I am repeat again. The growth rate of population is a function of fertility, mortality, and migration. And the difference between two fertility and mortality rate is called natural increasing of population. And second here, the population of India has been increasing steadily is a sign 90-21. The major factor is responsible for it has been a very rapid decline in a death rate. The next year, state level patterns of population growth. State level pattern of population growth here. The actual growth rate of population is not uniform in all parts of the country. The rate is higher in some part of than in the other. The average decline of the growth in the country was 21.39% during to 1991, and there is the 2001. There is one important period in time is a 10-year difference here. If we look at the entire state difference, then it has been to observe that is a Kerala has been a lowest growth rate is a 9.42. 9.42% is very important, whereas the state of the Nagaland has the highest growth rate of the 64.41%. The birth rate is a state level of pattern which is emerged is the fact that there is a clear-cut northern southern divide. All the northern and northern and northeastern state have a recorded high growth rate, whereas all the southern state have a low growth rates here. And this is mainly due to difference in the level of social economical development, which include of high literacy rate here and better primary health care facility and more urban population and more developed economics. There is an important point here. There is a mainly due to difference in the level of socio-economical development, which include as the literacy rate is higher, better is the primary health care facility and more urban population and more development economics here. In this map, there is the most important. India is a percentage calendar growth of population 1991 to 2001. There is the most important here decadal growth of population here. The percent increasing of population 1991 there 2001. There is the most important here. 18% and below here only is white shaded area. There is the Himachal Pradesh and other is Himachal Pradesh is here and the 18 to 21% is the maximum. There is a importance of here a population in a area of mostly show in this year of Punjab. There is a Punjab here. There is a percentage increasing in population as a Punjab here. And there is 21 to the national average is 21.34. There is an important here 21 to 24 here. The maximum side is the Gujarat and Maharashtra. There is Gujarat and Maharashtra on 1991 to 2001. This period of time is most important. And 24 to 27 here a percentage. There is increasing is a massive dark area. There is a Uttar Pradesh and Madhya Pradesh and Arunachal Pradesh also here. And there are 27 to the above. There are mostly the Rajasthan, Jammu, Kashmir, and there is a Bihar also. There is the most important percentage decadal of growth of population 1991 to 2001. The next year migration. The migration is the most important factor here. A population here on the increasing there are migration. We have discussed earlier that a growth of population depend upon to birth rate, death rate and migration. There is a most important factor here. Growth of population. There are birth rate, death rate and migration. Here topic arrives, there is migration here. A movement of peoples, there is a movement of people from one area to another area is called migration. You know that what is a migration? The migration here, movement of people from one area to another area is called migration. Migration can be a number of types. Migration here, number of type according to the nature of movement, and this can be divided into the permanent and temporary. There is two types of migration here: permanent migration and temporary migration. The permanent migration involves the movement of people from one place to other. Those people do not come back to the original place. There is a permanent migration. You know that, I repeat again. What is here permanent migration? The permanent migration involves movement of people from one place to other, and this do not go back to the original place. A common example of these types of migration is provided by their movement of people from rural to the urban area from permanent settlement. In case of temporary migration, the people move from one place to another for some duration and return to the original place of living. There is a short time period for the people and migration. One example of this movement is a seasonal migration. It is called seasonal migration. There is a most important example here. The migration of agricultural labor from Bihar to Punjab and Haryana during to the harvesting season is temporary migration. You know that migration of agricultural laborers from Bihar to the Punjab and Haryana during to the harvesting is a season as a temporary here. This is most important here, harvesting of the seasonal temporary migration. The migration can be on a daily basis also. The migration here daily basis also. You might have observed that a large number of people come into the cities every day in their morning from the surrounding area to work, and they all go back in the evening. This is called a daily and diurnal migration here. A daily migration here, diurnal migration here. It is seen is a mountainous region that is many people move from valley to the higher reaches of mountain. Along with there is a cattle and during summer and come back to the valley during to the winter. There is also a seasonal migration here. They seem to a mountain region that many people move from a valley to be higher reaches of mountain. Along with there is a cattle during to the summer back into the during to winter, and these people have there is a permanent home in the valley, and they are moved to be higher area to the grass. There are cattle there. Then the higher reaches of the mountain become too cold. He's come back to the lower valley. The animal movement is always along some fixed route, and generally there is a grazing area are also fixed. This type of altitudinous migration is called transhumance. Is a Gaddi tribes and Himachal Pradesh is a backwaters is a Jammu and Kashmir practice types of migration. There is a most important name here come called transhumance, and the Gaddi tribes as the Himachal Pradesh and Bhakrwala is a Jammu and Kashmir practice types of migration here. At the next here, types of migration. On the basis of source of origin and destination of migrant population, the migration can be divided into four types. The here a migration here are four types. First here rural to rural, and rural to the urban, and next year urban to urban, and next year urban to rural. You know that there is a easy the rural to rural, and rural to urban, and urban to rural, and urban to urban. There is a most important migration here, four types. The next point is the most important here in this box. There is a notable point, not your notebook. There is a most important here, a summary. First point here, a movement of people from one area to other is called migration. Movement of people from one area to other is called migration. And second here, migration is two types. There is a migration here, two types, temporary migration and there are permanent migration. There is also here important or temporary is also called to daily migration. These are two types only, permanent and temporary, yeah, daily migration. And the seasonal movement of people along with the cattle between two area and along to fix out is called transhumance. There's an important point here. The seasonal movement of people along with there is the cattle between two area is along fixed routes is called transhumance. The next topic is the most important here, migration trends in India. The migration trend in India, there is an important point here. Out of 1.02 billion people in the countries, is 307 billion, 30% were reported as the migrant by a place of birth and migrant place to the birth are those who is ingameted is at a village town at the time of census and other than their place of birth. This proportion here 30% as reported in a 2001. Census excludings of Jammu and Kashmir is a slightly is a more than is a what was reported in a 1991 is 27.4%. In fact, there has been steadily is increasing in the number of migrant over to the successive census. If we compare between to the 1961 and 2001, then it has been to the observe that it has increasing between 1961 and 2001 from to the 144 millions to 307 million. There is some important point here. There is 2001 from 144 billion to 307 billion. During the last 10 years, 1991 to 2001, the number of migrants excluding to Jammu and Kashmir, excluding there Jammu and Kashmir, and rose by there 32.9%. And further break of the migrants in the terms of sex and of the basis of source or degradation are given below here. There is a most important point come. Let's come to the important point. See here. In this box, there is the most important point here. India total migrant, there is a break of 2001. There is some important here. Types of migration and number of population in the million. There is a total migration male and female. There is a total migration 307. Then included at the male here are 90.4. There is a 90.4. But female here is a very exciting 216.7 female is a migration. That is amazing. And intra districts here 181.7 and inter districts here is a 76.8. Intrastate is a 42.3 and from awarded to 6.1. There is a most important point here and excited and very is important for female is a 216.7. Here is the migration number of billion. There is a most important point here. If we look at there is a moment of pattern, it has been observed that Maharashtra receive a largest number of migrants. There is a Maharashtra last is the largest number of migration here 7.9 billion. 7.9 millions and followed by Delhi 5.6 million and West Bengal is a 5.5 million. There is a number of Maharashtra here 7.9 million is a migration here. On the other hand, there is Uttar Pradesh followed by there is a Bihar and Rajasthan are three top contributors of out of migrants. But if we look at there are net migrations, there are difference between in the migrant and the outer migrant is a Maharashtra stand at the top of list with the 2.3 billion net migration followed by the Delhi is 1.7 billions, Gujarat is 0.68 billions and Haryana 0.67 billion. There is a most important number here. Let's now there is a profile in details. We have a discussed below their age profile of the migrant and duration of the stay of the migrants. In sense use the first one is termed as their migrant by place of birth by age and migrant by place of last residence. The first point here, migrants by age. The migrants by age we will see as a profile of interstate migrant and intrastate migrants. Out of the total migrant as a numberings about 258 billion who is a migrant within the state. There is important out of total migrant numberings about 258 million who is a migrant within the state, and 17.4 are in the age group of 15 to 24 years. There are 23.2 in 25 to 34 years, and 35.6 year is a 35 to 59 years old age. Here is important of migration. In the case of interstate migrants, out of which is a 42 million, there is 18.5 in this age group of 15 to 24 years. There is a 24.7 in the age group of 25 to 34 years, and 36.1 in the 35 to 59. There is a most important year number. In the both group, in the interstate and intrastate migration, we find high proportion of the migrant are in their older and economically active age group here. The detail of the inter and intrastate migration will be discussed in the successive paragraphs here. The second year migrants by place of last residence. This data is collected to be understand the population of migration. It is likely that after one move out of the place of birth, and one may be continued to migrate from one place to other. The study of migration by place of birth is like a studying one-time event. Data on migration by the last residence reveals is recent migration over 2 years and therefore more informative. The data on migration by the last residence is the India as per 2001 is a census, so that the total number of migrant ever to 314 million. If we look at there is a duration of stay, it has been observed that is a substantial proportion among the total migrant. 101 million out of 314 million had a migrate at least 20 years back. About 98.3 billion had a migrate over the last decades. Duration here is 0 to 9 years. There is a most important duration. We will be analyze the details about their migration that took place in the last decade in the two bordered categories. The two bordered categories is important here. Intrastate and intrastate migration. Within these two bordered category, analysis will be made in the term migration by streams and by the sex. The first year, intrastate migration. Intrastate migration, there is important. The majority of the migrants belong to this category. According to 2001 census, 80.73 billion of people are intrastate migrants. Among these migrants is overwhelming as a population is a 60.5% were rural to the rural migrant, whereas the only 12.3% is a belong to be category of urban to urban migrant. And the remaining 17.6% migrant is belong to be a category of rural to the urban, and 6.5 is a belonging to the urban to rural area. The rest 3.1% is unclassified, which means that is a respondent have not mentioned any stream. Among the intrastate migration, about 70% were female. 70% is a female. This is a number is a very excited. 70% female here intrastate migration. 70% female. This high percentage was mainly due to the marriage. There is a mainly due to the marriage for 70% migration for a female, only for the marriage due. About 69 of the female migrant for a rural to rural migration, and 97% of female migrant move from one urban center to another. 13.6% is a move from rural to the urban area, only 5.6% from urban to rural area, and the rest 2.6% is unclassified. In this case of male migration is a 41.6% belong to be category of rural to the rural migrant, and 18.3% belong to the urban to is urban, and 27.1% is belong to the rural to the urban, and 8.6% were urban to rural. The major chunks of the population who move from a rural to the rural area are mainly move out in the search of employment. The next point here, intrastate migration. Interstate migration, there is the most important migration here. India's interstate migration is a limited, is a comprehension to be interstate migration. According to 2001 census, is a 17 million peoples were interstate migration. 17 million people were interstate migrant. Out of this, as a 17 million people, there are 26.6% belong to the category of rural to the rural migrant, and 26.7 belong to the category of urban to urban, and 37.9 belong to be rural to urban, and 6.3% belong to be urban to rural here. The rest 2.6 is unclassified here. About half of all interstate migrants were males. Among them, to 26% is a percentage moved within the rural area, and 26.7% is moved within the urban area, and 37.9% of migrants move from to rural to the urban area, and 6.3% from urban to rural area. There is a most important point here, interstate migration here. The next here, causes of migration. The causes of migration is the most important here. The migration is a result of an interplay of a large number of factors. Generally, factor affecting to the migration can be grouped into two categories of push and pull factor. There is the most important two category here, push and pull factors. The push factor are responsible for the making people moving from their original place of living. There is some important here. Push factor are responsible for making people move from their original place of living. The pull factor are responsible for attracting people to some particular area. The pull factor are responsible for the attracting people to some particular area. Unless both these factors are operating as simultaneously, no migration of people can be possible. No migration of people can be possible. The push and pull factor include the economical, social, and political components here. A very description of this factor is given below here. In this box, there is a most important point here. The very description of this factor is given below here. The different types has a here explanation, but first of all, in this box, there is a most important point here. The migrations is the result of interplay of a number of factors, and this factor can be grouped as a push and pull factor here. The push and pull factor can be economical, social, and political in nature. Let's come to here. A factor is given here below. The first factor here, economical factor. Economical factor is the most important here. The people generally like to be live in this area where they can make their livelihood. Thus, there would be a like to be moved away from area of poor soil, less developed means of transport, low level of industrialization, and less job opportunities. There is industrialization and less job opportunities important here, and these are the push factor. These are here push factor. Push factor is that they are a low level of industrialization, less job opportunity. There are push factor. On the other hand, the area offering to good employment as better living standard attract to large number of people, and this is a pull factor. There is a good condition of employment and better living standard attract to a large number of people. These are their pull factor. Thus, all area of fertile soil, deposit of mineral, and better mean of transportations and communication, and a higher level of development of industry and urban area, providing more means of making a living. You might have observed that is a large number of people move to the cities for Delhi, Mumbai, Kolkata, Chennai, and from the wings are different part of country like Bihar, Odisha, Uttar Pradesh, where opportunity are less. There is a most important factor. There is a more people are moved to the Delhi, Mumbai, Kolkata, Chennai, and where there is the country like Bihar, Odisha, Uttar Pradesh, opportunity are less. And this most important factor for which they are moved in the expected improvement in their economical condition. Many are attracted by the apparent glory of city lives with all the modern comfort and attraction. That is important. And also important in this box, there is the most important point here. The important economical pull factor causing migration are fertile soil, ability of mineral and good means of transport and communication, a high level of industrialization and urbanization and more job opportunity. That is the most important point here. And the important economical push factor are poor soil, lack of developed means of transport and communication, and low level of industrialization and urbanization and lack of job opportunity. There is the most important point here. Second factor is the most important social political factor. Social political factor here. The man is a social beings as we like to be live with the kith and kin. Generally, the people having a common religions or language or social custom like the live together. On the other hand, a person would be like to be a migrate to some other place if he is living among their people belong to be some other culture or customs. Many people are migrate to place or religious importance and migration of people to be placed like a Badrinath, Tirupati and Varanasi through the generally are temporary due to the religious factor. There is a migration of people to be placed like a Badrinath, Tirupati and Varanasi through the generally temporary is due to the religious factor. The impact of this social factor is more clear and seen in the concentration of people belong to be a particular communities in one locality of urban area in a particular. Cities and villages are social as some provisions of majority community can be an important push factor if the majority community is not be tolerant to be other community. There is an important point here. The next factor is the third is a demographical factor. Demographical factor here or S is an important demographic factor. The young population is more mobile than the children and all age population. And this is because young people are mostly moved to either for a work, better opportunity for a further study. This is important here begin young people mostly move either for a work, better opportunity for a further study. Political factor related to be a government or policy are responsible for a migration. You know that there is an important point here. Political factor related to be a government policy are responsible for a migration. This factor is beginning to increasingly important in the modern time. The government can be influence their incidence rates and directions of the migration to be great extent. In some cases, the minority community are discriminated against, and they are thus forced out of countries. Partition of India into the India is a Pakistan at a time of independence resulted in the large-scale migration of people between the two countries only. Here, most important point here, a people like they live with the laws flowing to same or some religious and custom. There is a first point in this box. There is important here. People like to live with those of following the same religious or customs. And second here, the presence of the minority at the hands of majority communities can be an important push factor leading to migration. There is a most important point here. The next topic is the most important here. Consequence of migration. Consequence of migration, there is the most important topic here. Consequence of migration are the diverse as the cases. The consequences are the felt in both the religions, their area of origin of migrant and the area of destinations. The area of destination and the consequence of migration can be grouped as economic, social and demographic. There is important here. The consequence of migration can be grouped as economic, social and demographic. There is a most important point, and first point here, economical consequence. There is an important point here, economical consequence. Among the economical consequence, the effect on the source population ratio is the most significant. This ratio undergoes to change in both the area involved. The source population ratio may be such in an area which is meant to be called either underpopulated or overpopulated or adequately populated or optimum populated. The condition of an underpopulation means a condition of too low an population to allow to development and utilization of its resource. On the other hand, overpopulation is a condition when the pressure of population on resource is very high and generally results in a low standard of living. Low standard of living is important. A country having enough number of people to be enable development and utilization of its resource without lowering their quality of life is called adequately populated. If the people are moving from an area of overpopulation to an area of underpopulation, the result is in the direction of balancing the resource population ratio. The resource population ratio here. On the other hand, if the migration is the form of an area of underpopulation to over a populated to adequately is a populated, the consequence may be a harmful to be both the area. That is important. The migration affect the occupational structure of population is of both the religious as generally the population of working population in a source area is lower and the same is the proportions in the receiving area is increased. Thus the population of the receive area tend to become a more productivity and the source area is a result in increasing the dependency ratio by the reducing the proportion of the working people in the population. One of the serious consequences of migrants is a brain drain. Brain drain is the most important point here. There are serious consequences of migration, a brain drain. This refers to the migration of the skilled person from a poor is a country to be a development country is in a search of better economical opportunity. An example can be a migrant of the doctor and engineer etc. from India is to be USA and UK as Canada. This type of migration does not be alter a resource population ratio as significantly as the number of people involved in the migration are not very large. However, the equality of human resource in the resource design is suffer as a lot. The resource of source is designed, which is generally is a poorly countries cannot be a development fully because of a high size of population. There is an important point here. The next point here, social consequence. Social consequence is important here. The migration involved interaction of different culture. Migration involves interaction of different cultures. The receiving area is mind received through there is a migration people are belonging to different culture and this mind lead to be a cultural enhancement. India is a country which receive a migrant belonging to a different culture groups and the modern culture of India is a result of this intermixing of different cultures. Sometimes people are coming together having a different culture might result in the cultural is a conflict also. There is a most important point here. The many migrants mainly male are member. Mainly a migrants are mainly a male member. Those who stay along with the city involved in their extramarital or unsafe sexual practice. Some of them start talking drugs through the infected syringe. Due to this is an unsafe practice, many of them got HIV infected. But this does not be a stop here. When the people go back their home and infecting their spouses, HIV is also transmitted to the unborn child. And why this is happen? Due to lack of awareness, due to unsafe practice, and is a causes about sex and experimentation with the drug and alcohol. Important point in this box, there is the most important point, not a point this in the copy. The migration may be a generally result is the culture encouragement in the receive area, though there at times it may be also lead to be culture context. The source population ratio is the both source resign and the receive. Resign is the alerted through the migration. And the next year, brain drain is also serious consequence of migration. The next point is important is the third point, demographic consequence here. There is an important point, demographic consequence. Due to migration, there are characteristics of population in both the religions undergoes to change not only the age and the sex structure of the population but also their rate of growth of population is alternated. Generally, the proportion of the all children and females is increasing in the source area due to the migration. On the other hand, there is a proportion of this person in the population of the receive area is a generally. So this is one of the reason of the high sex ratio in a source area of low sex ratio in the receiving area. This happened because it is a youthful male population which is mostly involved in a migration. Thus, not only the number of people but also the structure of population is of both reason involved in a migration in a change, and this result is a change in the rate of fertility, mortality, and consequently in the growth of population. The source of resign are developed of the youthful population, and this result in a lower rate of births and comparatively low rate of growth. On the inverse, is impact is observed in the case of population structure of this received area. There is a most important point here. The next is the most important point in this box. The position of the children is women and all people become more in their source area of the migration, and this proportion are lower in the receiving area. This result in a change of age and sex structure and the growth rate of population of both source and receive resigns. There is the most important point here.